for the salute of the flag.
Dear Lord, guide and inspire us to this never see the daily task of government. Help us to always set goals for the benefit of the borough. Amen. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag, United States of America. To the vote, we stand. With liberty and justice for all. How you doing? All right.
Okay, at the request of residents at previous meetings, they've asked that public participation be held at the end of the meeting so that they can voice their opinion on anything that we are discussing at the meeting. So, with that said, we will be holding public participation after the meeting on everything that's been covered on our agenda. Okay? So, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Hodgson.
Here.
Ms. Peterson.
Here.
Mr. Pettit.
Here.
Ms. Foley.
Here.
Mr. McGuigan.
Present.
Ms. Rafter.
Here.
Mrs. French.
Here.
And Mayor Farah.
Here.
The first item on our agenda is a report from our tax collector, Kathleen Carter.
I sent everyone, emailed everyone on council a copy of the tax collections for the month. And I'm just going to tell everyone what we collected. We collected a total of $571,056.68. That's just for the month of March, since it's really March 22nd. So, and I'm leaving to go collect taxes.
What tax was that?
It's that was the total. The general fund was $381,151.67. Trash was $76,361.18, and sewer was $113,342.93.
Okay, does that include the 1%? Is that what?
No, that's a completely different tax.
That's,
This
that's
is
what I was
property.
kind of asking, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, this is property tax. Thank
So
you.
that was your borough taxes that were sent out, and then were sent out again because the county screwed up with the sewer rates. So that's the money collected so far on the revised tax bills. Next on the agenda is the financial report. Mr. Vicente.
Yeah, just no reports, the reports you provided at council meeting. Just want to compliment the tax collector, getting money in, we're trying to get bills paid. I appreciate that. Everything's very organized. I sent out the 1099s to the IRS that I reported on last month. Hopefully that'll be taken care of and that we're in compliance. And I'll have, I'm going to adjust the reports per some council recommendations, adjust some reports for next week's meeting, and hopefully everybody will be okay with the reports before we add the treasurer's report and so forth. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Vicente. In your packet, you will see a resolution that I would like us all to look over, and maybe at the May committee meeting, we can discuss it. It's about opting in for a foreclosure mediation program. Right now, we're one of the few counties that opts out, which really ties our hands and ties the bank's hands on foreclosure. So over the next few weeks and at our next committee meeting, I'd like us to discuss this and have your input on this resolution that will benefit the residents of our borough as far as getting legal aid and assistance in preventing their house from going into foreclosure. Okay? So it's just here to give you, some information on it, look over it, read it. If we have any questions, we can toss it around at the next committee meeting in May. Okay?
So just a question, you were saying they opt out on the county level?
Yes, they opted
Okay.
out on the county level.
Yes, and the other counties,
Which-
Pennsylvania, opted out then?
Yes, yes, and I think think for our residents, I mean, foreclosures are every day. And I think if we opt in, it would at least give them the extra resources to talk to credit people, to talk to legal counsel, so that they don't have to go into foreclosure, so that they can fight with the bank to keep their house instead of losing it. So that's basically, what this will cover. But like I said, I'm giving you
Just read it.
tonight. Read it, you can even Google it, try to get more information, and then we can toss it around at the next committee meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, see, the only other thing I had on my plate was, I'd like to congratulate Christine Peterson. She has been appointed and will be sworn in on the 16th as a Board of Director of the Delaware County Association of Boroughs. So folcroft will have a place and a say on the Association of Boroughs with having Christine on the board. And I wish her great things. So that's all I have. Okay, so next person up is Ms. Peterson.
All right, we met with, for the fire marshal ordinance, the amendment, me, Mary, and Sue met. We have a new ordinance that was typed up, so I basically want to vote on this come next Tuesday. I just want to bring that to the table, because we already had it. Right? Are we voting?
I think you have to vote
You
to
might want to read
advertise.
the change.
Okay, that's right, sorry, I just say we're gonna.
Yeah, we have to vote to
Sorry.
advertise,
So, yeah,
and come back and then
Yeah.
actually vote on it.
okay, so, yeah, I guess we'll do that at the council meeting. Also, I would like to just say, I'm not gonna give the police chief's exact, his whole report that he will do on Tuesday. Just a couple of things that went on in the past, week. A lot of curfew crackdowns, we got a lot of kids with fines, which is very good. Also, a nice drug bust on King Avenue by Officer Eisenman Bear and Story, so good job on that part. And I'll let him get into the rest of the stuff, but just a little touch on that. Also, for the meeting, I would like to approve, well, not this week, but next week, approve for the handicap parking for Joseph P. Schwartz, 1912 Carter Road. And that's it on that.
Christine,
Yeah.
where are we with getting civil service tax?
It was submitted to the paper yesterday, or not? That's already advertised. It's already advertised. It's gonna be advertised on Saturday. And then, from there, I told Rogo, as soon as it goes in, to get test dates, so that we can get the officers in to test as soon as possible.
Okay.
Sorry.
It was in the paper.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go. It was in today, so Rogo's gonna get on, give me dates. And I guess I'll just go into the Easter egg hunt. I just wanna say thank you to everyone who came out, the kids. It was a great day, even though it was a little bit rainy, but I think everybody had a good time. Thanks Sue, Steve, and, big thanks to Nick McGarelli for coming out. Thank you. That's it for me.
Mr. Penny?
Yes, I'd like to get to, next week, to vote on some of the sewers, the drains to be pointed, and the one on folcroft Avenue. I think that one's the main one. It has to be repaired. Mr. Amorato has given me a breakdown of what he's going to do monthly. And I'm hoping like next Tuesday we can get vote on this so we can get started. Seems the weather is getting better.
is the Grant Bridge?
Grant Bridge, well, Lauren brought it up that, you know, there are people that do take the train and do walk up the Grant. And we had this discussion today that, you know, SEPTA may tell us that we are paying for the bus to transfer from here to up here. So if that's the case, I mean, is the borough really going to pay?
Why can't they just go to folcroft train station?
Well, that's the problem. It's basically an inconvenience for them to actually walk another few more blocks. That's what we're hearing, that they're complaining about that.
Okay.
You know, there's nothing we can do about it. It is a state problem.
Right.
So whatever the state's gonna do, they're gonna do it. They're not gonna budge.
Okay. How's our street sweeper? Are we gonna be able to go May 1st?
As far as I know, he's getting part for the brush. I don't know. He did, okay.
So we'll be good to go?
We should be good to go unless it breaks down again.
Okay. Then we'll address it. Did the engineers give you a report or anything?
No, I haven't talked to Tom. I'm hoping to talk to him next Tuesday or within the week.
Okay.
He's a tough man, he's busy.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Concerns? Okay. Borough buildings and properties, do you have anything to report?
The only thing I'd like to try to bring up again is trying to, like Jason said, about the rug. I really would like to try to get the rug put in for the beach.
Did they address the capping problems?
No, and we have not sent them a check yet.
Okay. So we need to talk to the owner of the company and ask them.
His name is Jim.
Okay.
So, but I would like to get, you know, somebody else to give us a price and see what they're gonna give us.
Okay.
I mean, that would finish the whole entire upstairs.
And what offices is it? What offices are again? It's the,
Just the chief's
Just
room
the chief?
and that hallway where his secretary is at. And she's the one that actually picked the color and all that, so, yeah. Pretty bad that her room hasn't got done. I mean, it's just not working.
okay. So we need to contact, I guess, you would contact the rug people or would Linda?
Maybe you could give me, maybe call some people and just give us an estimate. Now,
But I'm saying this guy that has not completed all the work.
Yes.
We need to contact him and ask
we need to
him.
get him back here to fix the
The capping.
the cap.
Right,
Because when they run it around corners,
They
they never
didn't cut it.
spaced it and
right,
it
and
just
it's
fucking
all
wrong.
down.
You know, they just basically slapped it on there and that was the end of
I
it.
think
Larry, I think you were saying that whole job is pretty much subpar up there, right? That whole project is not very good at all.
That's what I'm
So,
saying.
before we get the, like, I think Sue brought it up last month, before we get a quote to have someone else come in and do it, we
We
need
need
to tell
to
them,
get
listen, you didn't,
Well, I want him to fix what he did wrong
yeah.
and also I mean, apparently he went off the specs somewhere.
By a mile.
So he owes us that carpeting. In my own opinion, I don't know about everybody else, but he went out of the
The
specs.
specs that he gave us to do the hallway upstairs,
Uh-huh.
all the way through.
And he didn't.
It was on the spec to do the hallway, but the back staircase was not on the spec. So he took the staircase, or the upstairs hall, and did the back staircase. So that's where all that rug
Now,
went.
did he clear that with anybody?
Yeah.
And the locker room, yes, I talked to Jim about that.
Now, did he clear it? I mean, did he clear it for you to put it? Did he get your approval to do the back stairway when it wasn't on the specs?
It was not supposed to be done.
Okay.
Because on the specs.
Well, then he
it only
owes us
shows the
carpeting.
hall. But everyone
Right?
wanted the stairway done. The back end of the stairway.
No, it wasn't on the specs.
Because the hallway
I
was
don't care who everybody
upstairs.
was, it wasn't on the specs.
The hallway upstairs,
Mhm.
the one section, no one even used that hallway.
Who gave him the authority to do the back stairway?
I don't, not me. That stairway was being done at the time.
Okay. Well,
And
he
even
owes
with
us-
that, like, he ended up doing where the prisoners are, that back area.
No,
which-
he didn't.
He didn't do that either.
No.
No.
Well, the chief said he didn't want to do that room.
So
because
he ended up
said
doing
that
Danny
was-
White's office then instead of that, right?
Yeah, he said he
So
was.
Danny's office is the,
Yeah,
okay.
they did Danny's. They
But the
did Danny's.
stairways that they, the back stairway,
I have
they
the blueprint.
did,
We had to do
They
it.
did without authorization, so they owe us carpeting,
I would agree with that.
right? They owe us carpeting. So Cliff, you call them and discuss that with them? And if need be to discuss it with them, I will. He owes us carpeting to do the chief's office and the hallway. Okay. All right, Ms. Foley, ordinances?
Okay, in your trash packets, there's an economic revitalization commission proposed ordinance. I want to make a motion at next week's meeting to refer to the committee meeting today and hold a hearing and vote at the May 15th council meeting. Again, this relates to opt-out foreclosure mediation programs and we just talked about it, having multiple conversations, I guess. The Board of Health ordinance, there will be a public hearing and a vote as advertised next Tuesday at the council meeting. Is that, yeah. That should be on Monday. Yeah. Yeah. No.
I got a question on this Board of Health issue. Is there anything, we'll have to talk to the lawyer about this, solicitor. Is there any way to give some sort of Board of Health Commission enough teeth that when we have problems where residents come up and say that, you know, their next door neighbor has abandoned their house, because you talked about the foreclosures, people are walking away from their houses right now, and they're leaving them abandoned, and the case we heard today, you know, with animals in there and everything else. Is there any way to, because we ran into problems that if we tried to get in the house, we had to contact the owner and run around in a circle, and meanwhile, the residents are the ones that are getting the rats and the roaches and everything else and putting up with the grass growing. So can we look into seeing if we can get an ordinance where we can actually have a board that votes to somehow maybe get access to the house? Or I don't know how that would happen legally, but I think you guys get my drift, that where we would be able, as a committee, to get in.
What happened with 752 was, it was an anonymous call, from what I understand, to the 911 as a CO detector. When the fire department got there, it was locked up and there was no answer, but they heard the dogs. And because it was a CO detector calling, we were able to break in. And, you know, the rest of the history on that.
Sure.
I mean, it's really the residents that need to let us know when a property is vacant, when you don't see activity for a while, and you know they have pets, or when you just don't see activity, and you know that somebody was living there, you just need to, and it's confidential. You know, you can call up here, and you don't have to give your name. All they have to do is give the address of where they think the problem is. I mean, this weekend, Easter Sunday, was horrible. I really don't want to see it again. I mean, it was just downright, and Bob will attest to it, he was there. It was horrible, horrible conditions. And I feel sorry for the two residents on each side, that they had to live with something like that in between them, but didn't know how to go about it. And it was just horrible. So I just.
Well, hopefully, the last thing I wanted to get to in ordinances was the blight ordinance that I also attached in the packets, which also it's a lot longer, it's maybe like almost 8 or 9 pages. That, I mean, is also another thing we can start looking at, probably not even May, maybe even June, but it's, you know, to address the concerns of the increasing property blight and suggest studying and discussing it, you know, at a later date, but that would be what we're kind of talking about right now with the property. I don't know if there's legally anything that we can do with the health ordinance, but maybe we can do it with this ordinance. So, hopefully we can work on that. That's all I have.
I'd like to add something about the house on Sunday. Sue handled herself extremely well. The tenant, as we found out, he was pouring over at the end of the session. He was trying to, snow her off, and she handled herself very professional, left the note that wasn't going to get away with it. And this is the way it was going to be. And,
We'll have to do it, especially if what happened in the village. We don't do that.
Fires.
you did a good job, Sue.
Thanks, thank you. I felt sorry for the residents. I mean, the one resident next door has an asthmatic mother, and what they had to live next door to was just unacceptable. It's just gross.
I mean, I don't want to use her name, even though she comes up, she's here every month, and she was telling us for a year that her next door neighbor, they have, rodents running around. And it's not from lack of trying that we go to the police chief, we go to the board of health, what can we do? And it seems like they give us the same answer that, oh, well, the bank owns it and this and that and the other thing. I personally would just want to, like you said, break down the door, assess whoever owns the house, that when they sell it, they pay us back for it. But I think the reward you get is that we don't have neighbors being prisoner by people who abandon their house.
Well, with the 1940 situation, it is in possession of the bank. How we handled that was the solicitor put pressure on the bank. The bank didn't comply, therefore, when we got a health inspector, he complied. And that's when we took the rights to the bank away. So we're not going to play with the banks. If they don't take care of it on their first letter, then the health inspector will take precedent and he will get it cleaned out. And what's going to happen is it's not costing us anything. The company that we have that's going to clean it out, liens go on the property. Therefore, when they do finally sell the property, the liens get paid first. Therefore, it's no money out of the borough's pocket. So as far as putting pressure on them, I say yes, we put pressure on them. Banks don't want to comply, don't get the health inspector involved, and then we start doing the liens on the properties.
And if one of the owners wants to come up and stand up here in a meeting and yell at one of us for it, I'll gladly be the one to tell them, well, if you leave your house like that, I don't really care what your opinion is.
Exactly.
I really don't. So, that was great.
So, insurance.
No new business.
Library?
Marion went to the meeting for me, I'm sick, but I do have a library statistics for 3 months here. And it's just a breakdown of books borrowed, the usage of the computer, and everything like that.
Building and zoning?
I have nothing.
Great. With that, we'll start with public participation. Michael Hosner, 783 Bennington.
That's me. Good evening. Good evening. Members of the Borough of Folcroft Borough, thank you for your time for listening to your residents. We are all here to make this a better place. We're always here to make our place of residence always better and improving. We all agree with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is my first time I've been to a borough meeting. So I've been here in Folcroft for 15 years now. My lovely neighbor here, Mr. Richard Stark, has been a neighbor for 15 years. He's been in Folcroft for approximately 40 years. Now, when I first moved here, we rented the house that we were in, the one we're in right now, for approximately 8 years. When the person was going to sell it, we went ahead and bought it back in 2006. When I bought the house, we had to pave over our driveway in the back. I know that there had been some problems with the neighbors not paving them. The coal patch is very favorite. Used to put it in the back of the Cadillac and drive it to the back of the driveway, put it in and drive over it a few times. When we bought our house, I thought we didn't really have to pave over it because everybody else's was the same way. We went ahead and spent $850. We paid ours. We paid a little bit of Mr. Stark's as well, but we sometimes shared the driveway. But as I talked to the neighbors, I found out that a lot of these potholes had not been really repaired, and I was looking forward to the time that I talked to the inspector who said that we had to pave it. Now, at the time, when we had to pave it, when people were moving out and moving in, with the changing of the residences or different owners, from what I understood, maybe I misunderstood, but when the changes of the owners had changed from one to another, that would be the time that they'd have to make a pavement over, make it fully, because for some reason, the inspector said that it would not do just doing cold patch, so. But since 1997, we moved in, 2 of my cars had to have the upper and lower ball joints replaced. My car, being the one that I park in the back, had to have them replaced twice. And I still have, of course, receipts for those. My wife's car, she likes to park on the street, makes it easier for her, of course. But I noticed that the car that had to be replaced twice was my own, because I was driving in the back. And after that, I just got a little bit tired of it, went ahead and bought a new car, didn't think anything of it. Now I have a new car about 3 years ago. First time I ever bought a new car in my life, which is nice. I guess once in a lifetime you have to buy a new car. But now I know my front end's starting to go out on it again. It's starting to squeak, it's starting to grind, and I'm taking over to the shop. And a new car that's 2 or 3 years old shouldn't have front end ball joints and lower ball joints going bad. A little bit discouraging and disheartening, thinking that a new car would last a long time. Plus, bring a proposal that this needs to take a look at in the back of Bennington Road. Bennington Road, especially near the bottom, near the 800 section, they have had a lot of people coming and going, as we have been seeing people come and go. But yet, we haven't seen a lot of change in the pavement. People are putting cold patch on and letting it go, and it's been getting the same. It's never been the same since I've been there for 15 years now. Now, Mr. Stark is a multiple sclerosis patient. He has a condition, multiple muscular dystrophy. So he has a walker, as you can see, he has a scooter. Unfortunately, the scooter is not a 4-wheel scooter, so it can't go over terrain that you really need to go. It's a 3-wheeled scooter. So Mr. Stark had unfortunately fallen down twice in the back, approximately near the 800 section of Bennington Road in the back. I'm not exactly sure where, but it's 2 different times. This can be quite hazardous to Mr. Stark because he has difficulty getting around. It's a disability problem. It needs to be taken a look at for Mr. Stark. Not only that, but also other residents don't like to have their cars being beat up in the back. We like to drive down the driveway. Of course, you go across the street, on Bennington, across the street, you look at the pavement, and the pavement is nice and smooth. I've driven up across our neighbors. It seems to be very nice and smooth. And of course, if you get a chance to drive over there, please come on over and knock at the house. I'm more than happy to show you. But it needs to be taken a look at, and especially at the top of the hill. There's a lot of speed bumps at the top, which is another issue I want to get to, and I'll touch on it briefly. But there's a concrete hole that was just recently filled, and from my understanding, I thought that it was going to be taken care of, that it was going to be paved over correctly, the right way. Of course, in the back of Delview, where Delview meets the main intersection there, in the back, there's an old car there. Concrete's, it's getting to the point now where you're looking like you're driving in South America, and it cuts off so far down that you have to squeeze on the left-hand side. It's just unbecoming, really. That's one of my issues.
That's at the top, where Delview and Bennington, that driveway area?
Yes, the Bellevue, if you look at the Bellevue at the top, you go to the back alley.
I think you mean, I live on Bellevue, I think you mean Belmar and Grant.
You are correct, excuse me, Delmar, that's correct,
I come
I'm
off the
sorry.
driveway, so I know.
You're right, I'm sorry, that's right. Where the old car is there. And it's just like,
That's Grant, yeah.
okay, that's correct.
I have the running water bill down, which we tried.
So that's one of the issues that I have. Should we address that, or should I go on and continue with my list of issues, and then we can discuss them all at one time? I wasn't sure.
Keep going.
Okay. And the second thing was, I have children now, and of course, for the past 14 years, and watching my kids, at the time when we first moved in, we couldn't really build a fence in the front. I wanted my kids, being 2 and 3 years old, to be able to play in the front yard without having to go out into the street. Of course, I knew there was an ordinance at that time. Of course, I didn't really say anything. I just took it and let them play in the back. Now they're much older, although my 10-year-old still likes to play ball with me in the front yard or the backyard. And of course, the speeders there are just not becoming to people like walking in the street. Of course, when you throw your ball, of course, there's cars coming along. It's getting to the point now where just the other day, when I walked into the street on Easter to get all my family to go to church, that the cars had to slow down considerably just to watch out for us, just to get in the car. And that's a concern for me as well, because I know that there have been some, I'm not very up on the aesthetics of where people were killed and when, but I know on Bennington there was a killing of a young boy at the top of the hill. And